If you're looking for the best video settings for shooting slow motion on the Canon 90D, then keep watching this video and stay to the very end where I'm gonna show you 2 tricks for shooting way better slow motion so you can stand out on YouTube.
You gotta just press record.
All right, so let's jump right into the tutorial. We're gonna start by going into the Canon's menu system by clicking menu. And you can see right here on the very first tab in the first page, it says movie record quality, and we're set to 4K. And so if we select this, you can see that over movie record size, there's some options here, 60 frames per second, and HD is the highest frame rate. But on this camera, you can shoot 120 frames per second, which looks buttery smooth, and that's what we want. So I'm gonna show you how to get that setting on this camera. We need to go back, so we're gonna hit menu again, and under high frame rate, right now it's on disable, we're gonna go down and we are gonna turn that to enable. And so before I click enable, I want you guys to read what this says. It says movie servo autofocus, movie digital IS, and audio not available. Autofocus not available in movie recording. What this means is that when you shoot in 120 frames per second on the Canon 90D, you are gonna lose movie digital IS, you're gonna lose audio recording, and you're gonna not be able to record with autofocus. But luckily in this video, I'm gonna show you some workarounds and help you kind of navigate how to shoot without those settings. So we are going to hit enable. Now that we have enabled the high frame rate, it sets it to 120 frames per second. And you can see that right here. Underneath, you can't even change the movie record size because that is what it's meant to do. As far as the 4K movie cropping, leave that disabled. We don't need to touch that. So we're gonna hit menu so we can go back to and hit menu again. We're back in our live view. And here you're gonna see that the shutter speed is still at 1/125. And I'm not exactly sure why Canon does this because that's not what we want to shoot. And so it just automatically sets it at 1/125. That's the lowest that actually allows you to go. Your shutter speed needs to double your frame rate. So 120 frames per second, your shutter speed should be 1/250. So, well, 1/240, but because there is no 1/240, as you can see, there's 1/250. That's why our shutter speed is going to be 1/250. As far as the aperture goes, as far as ISO goes, those are kind of just up to the shooter's discretion. And so I like to leave my f-stop on this Sigma 18-35 lens at 1.8. And it really just depends on what you're shooting. And then your ISO, you can adjust that accordingly. And if you're not really sure exactly what aperture is, you're not really sure what ISO and shutter speed and all those things are, I'm gonna have a card right here where you can watch a video and then you can know exactly what those things do. Moving on, we know we've lost autofocus, and so now we are going to be in manual focus. So my lens is in manual focus, and I have to now manual focus every slow motion shot. So for example, we were at the dog park and dogs were like running by, and it was kind of hard to keep the focus. And so a little hack on this camera that you can do is to turn peaking on. And so I'm gonna show you how to do that and let you know what that is. Back in the menu system, if we go over, it's gonna be on the 3rd page over on that first camera tab. Here we see kind of the autofocus and focusing options. And we're gonna go all the way down to manual focus peaking settings. Once we select that, peaking is turned off, and that is the function that we want to turn on. And then here you have some different levels. You have high and you have low. And so I'm going to show you what that looks like with high. If you take a look here, if I focus, you can see everything in focus is now covered in red. And when I go out of focus, it's not in red. And as it begins to go in focus, it becomes red again. I'm going to go back to the menu and change that setting to low and kind of show you the difference there of what that looks like. And here is it with low. It's just not as distinct as high. And I would just mess around. I wouldn't say one is either right or wrong, but I typically like to set mine on high. And if I feel like maybe it's too much, then I'll just go ahead and change it down to low. As far as the color, definitely don't use red if for some reason you're filming everything that is red or there's a lot of red in the shot. And so that's the nice thing, is there's some different colors here, yellow, blue. And so you can change it up if the person you're filming maybe is wearing all red and it's hard to see if they're in focus, just change it to blue. So I'm gonna leave mine on red for now and go back to the menu. So now we've kind of fixed that autofocus that we don't have. We now are using manual focus with peaking turned on. If you're having trouble keeping manual focus, even with your peaking on, then you're gonna wanna change your aperture here to a higher number, say, f8. And then you're gonna have to obviously boost your ISO. And here inside is really dark and stuff, but if you're outside shooting f8, with 1/250 shutter speed, your ISO won't have to be that high. It's not going to be that noisy, but f8 allows you to keep more things in focus. When you're at f1.8, it's a lower number, and that means the background is going to be really blurry, whereas f8, the background's not as blurry because more things are going to be in focus, where at f1.8, less is in focus because there is that smaller depth of field. The other thing to recognize is that you don't have audio recording. So if you need to record audio, then make sure you bring an external audio recorder. We're gonna have some links in the description for all this kind of gear, as well as like our favorite audio recorders that you can use and microphones and that kind of stuff. But yeah, bring a Zoom H1, it's like $100, and maybe a microphone, and you can pick up some audio while you're there. Someone else can do it for you. You can even strap it to your camera, whatever you wanna do, but you're not gonna be able to record audio into the Canon camera. Keep in mind that when you're shooting slow motion, you typically don't need audio. If you're using audio, it's gonna be sound effects. And so if you do record maybe some sound effects on location and you want it to kind of match that speed of what you're seeing in the slow motion, you can always slow down your audio, 25%, and it can kind of match that slow motion footage. Now, the last thing with turning on that high speed frame rate was that we lost that movie image stabilization in the camera. Now, if you're editing in maybe Final Cut Pro, Premiere, most video editors actually have some stabilization, and you can use that when editing. Remember that the slow motion actually is gonna kind of slow down those jitters and bumps that you might have when filming in like 24 frames per second. So naturally, 120 frames per second slowed down is just gonna look a whole lot smoother. So when you're shooting, maybe keep it closer to your body, keep your arms locked in. All those things are gonna help. Also, you could use a monopod or a tripod, and that is going to help a lot without getting any sort of jitters or shakes in your footage. Luckily, we just actually reviewed a very affordable, budget, awesome tripod that turns into a monopod. And so if you click the card right here, you can go and watch that video. It's an awesome tripod. If you don't have one, I recommend picking that one up. The last thing to mention, and this might be a little too techie, geeky for some of you guys, but I'm just gonna throw it out for the people who are curious about this. But when you shoot 120 frames per second and then you load it into your editor, it doesn't play back in real time, okay? So if you're on a Sony and you shoot 120 or 60 frames per second, it'll play back in real time and then you have to slow it down. On this camera, you load it into your editor and it plays back already in slow motion. So it's not in real time. It plays back in 24 frames per second at 25% speed. So that's not really any sort of like deal breaker or anything like that. If you're shooting 120 frames per second, you're not gonna wanna see that in real time speed anyways. You're gonna want it in slow motion. So it's not a bad thing, but I just wanted to throw it out there that is what happens when you throw it onto your computer. Before we get to these last two tips and tricks that are gonna make you shoot amazing cinematic slow motion footage, give this video a like and comment down below if you're loving the Canon 90D or if you plan on picking one up. So the first tip to take your slow motion to the next level is to film something with a lot of movement. If you're filming people talking or maybe grass growing or paint drying, obviously the slow motion is not gonna have the same effect as if you're filming something like skateboarders or waves at the beach. You really want to capture something with a lot of motion because the slow motion is then going to show off by making everything very slow. The second tip is to use camera movement. Now, slow motion does look great on a tripod or handheld, but you can really take your footage to another level if there is some camera movement. Now, if you check out this shot right here, we have something in the foreground and we have something in the background, and the camera movement makes it look like there's a lot more camera movement because of that subject in the foreground. Now, if you see this clip without anything in the foreground, you can see there's a difference. It looks like the camera's barely even moving. So it's important to add camera movement because it's just gonna take it up another level. And when using slow motion, your handheld shots, because they're slowed down, are naturally gonna take away those small jitters and shakes. And so you can almost get like a slider or gimbal type of shot just by using your hands. So if you've seen those really cool B-roll videos on YouTube and if you wondered how they've gotten these really cool smooth moving shots, they're using 120 frames per second. Most of them are doing it handheld, but because they are shooting that slow and they're probably adding some image stabilization in post or in camera, you get that really cool B-roll effect. Thanks for watching this video. Check out another one of our videos on the Canon 90D. I'll see you guys next time.